Shalom, brothers and sisters who are scattered in all corners of the earth. Sanbonan. My name is Mpumelelo. Welcome to this channel. I would like to take this opportunity to thank you for all your contributions and thank you for subscribing to this channel. If you are new to this channel, please consider to subscribe, like and share this video, and make your contributions in the in the commentary box. Last week we talked about the 7 feasts of Yahweh and we covered 3 of them. So today we're going to continue with 2. I tried to squeeze in all of them, but it will be a long presentation. So today we are going to deal with the Feast of Weeks and the Feast of Trumpets. I had at some point promised that I will demonstrate to you why the name of the Most High, as written in Hebrew, should be pronounced Yahweh instead of Yahuwah. And you will see the significant difference that should indicate that the correct pronunciation should be Yahweh. And I think that we continue searching because we have been evolving, in our understanding. And not only in the understanding of the scripture, but the understanding of who our Creator is. I was saying to a friend, we're the only ones who don't know exactly the name of our Creator. We have evolved over a period of time. At some point we called him Lord and God. That is in English, of course. In our languages, there's no confusion. In our Bantu languages, there's no confusion. We call him by his character, his qualities, but his exact name is not known. So, and we have also established that Hebrew and Bantu languages are related in such a way that it is possible that Hebrew was derived from our languages, or our languages have evolved over a period of time and adapted. So you can see the third row on the left. On the right, you have Paleo-Hebrew alphabets, and on the right you have modern Hebrew alphabets. Before these alphabets, our people wrote in pictographs, and I omitted to include, this would have been more interesting because you would have seen the evolution of the writings of our people, except for the modern Hebrew alphabets, of course. But the alphabets were depicted, and the writings in general were depicted in pictographs. So you had a picture instead of an alphabet. And so that's how we arrived at these kind of alphabets. So on the extreme, on the right, you'll have Paleo-Hebrew, which is ancient Hebrew. But I'm saying it's not ancient because the alphabets before these ones were pictures. And so on the right, this is the modern Hebrew. Most Bibles are written not in Paleo-Hebrew, but they are written in modern Hebrew. So when you go into your interlinear Bible, you'll find this kind of writing, the modern Hebrew alphabets. So for the sake of progress, when you do your research, you will be bombarded with the Hebrew alphabets, and they are written this way. But trust me, the pronunciation does not vary that much. It doesn't. Except if you look at the Hebrew alphabets that have vowels, the vowels will be identified. They are usually written below these alphabets. You'll see a dot or a T. Those are indicative of alphabets, and I will show you as I go with the presentation. When I see a Hebrew word that has alphabets, I will indicate to you where they place them. These alphabets can be misleading. They can change the sound and the meaning of the word. That's why today we don't know, because these alphabets have been changed. But on both the Paleo and modern Hebrew, you have the word which is known as the tetragrammation, the word that represents the name of the Most High. Now, I want to say to you that the pronunciation, according to these two alphabets, whether it's Paleo or it's modern, it should be Yahweh. And the first, let's look at let's look at the modern Hebrew alphabets. You have the Yod. You read from the right to the left. So the Yod is a small alphabet that looks like a comma, and then it is followed by a Hey, which makes an H sound. So the Yod makes a Y sound. The Hey makes an H sound. The Wow, it's like a staff, a shepherd's staff. It's like a hook, that long thing. In modern Hebrew, it is a V, but then it distorts the meaning. So in Paleo Hebrew, it will be W. It will make a W sound, and then you have the Hey sound. So if you take the Yod and the Hey, they make the Yah sound, Yah, as you see in the third row here, the Yah sound. Whereas the rest of the sound, the W and the H, they make the Wah sound. Together, if you put these words together, they make Yahweh. Yahweh, not Yahuwah. And I will show you, if you write the alphabets of Yahuwah in these alphabets, if you write Yahuwah alphabetically, you get a different sound. So Yahuwah will make the following alphabets. It's a Yod, which make a Y sound, a Hey, an H sound, another Hey, an H sound, a Wow. A Wow can double up as a consonant and a vowel. An Aleph, which is an A sound, Aleph, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabets, Aleph, and the Hey. So it makes you would pronounce this, or the letters would be in English, in the English alphabets, it will be YHHUAH. So the Yod and the Hey, which makes a Y sound and an H sound, will be Yah, the same as in the previous example. But now this is where it gets out of hand. It distorts the meaning. The Wow and the Hey, it makes the Hu sound. Then the Aleph and the Hey makes the Ah sound. Ah. Now when you pronounce this, you're going to say Yahuwah, Yahuwah. Now this is the problem. In Hebrew, you cannot have two H following each other. There are certain letters in Hebrew that can't follow each other. It becomes grammatically wrong. You can't have two H's following each other. By the way, we need to follow what the tetragrammaton, the way in which it is written. Yod, Hey, Wow, Hey. So that will make Yahweh sound. But if you say Yahuwah, you're making this sound. Yahhuah. That's a completely different name. It's no longer the name of the Most High. We have made our own name. This is how it looks. Talk about it, discuss it. Please give me a feedback. Maybe there are some people who understand it differently. So I've been promising to make this demonstration. Here we are. Let's talk about it if you wish, and let's see whether other people have different meanings. So today we will be looking at the Feast of Trumpets and the Feast of Weeks. The Feast of Weeks, which follows after the Feast of Weeks follows after the Feast of First Fruits. And so you count weeks, 7 weeks, which will give you 50 weeks. The following day of the 7 weeks will give you the Feast of Weeks. Now, the purpose of all these, we are the chosen ones. We have our own calendar. We have our own holidays. We have our own celebrations. And our celebrations are aimed at worshiping our Creator. And so, these are significant to know because there are certain things we cannot do, but they must be strictly aligned to the correct dating. We cannot create our own, we cannot use the Gregorian calendar and celebrate these feasts. We will be completely out of tune, out of alignment with the calendar, the biblical calendar. Now, I want to bring something to your attention. In Numbers 28, verse 1, Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, command the children of Yasharal. It's supposed to be Yasharal, not the children of Yahweh. Technically, it's not wrong, but that's not how it reads. Command the children of Yahweh, of Yasharal, and say to them, my offering, my food for my offerings, made by fire as a sweet aroma to me, you shall be careful to offer to me at their appointed times. Now, these appointed times refers to these feasts. They must be celebrated, they must be offered at their appointed times, at no other date. So if you are using a Gregorian calendar, and if you are following the Ashkenazi Jews, we are completely lost. The Ashkenazi Jews are getting exposed. They are not the children of Yasharal, and the spirit of Yahweh is not upon them. All the things that they do are mimicry, and they are out of alignment completely. In Exodus 12, verses 1 and 2, now Yahweh spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, so I'm coming to the calendar, the calendars that we use today. And I would like to thank Brother Abubakar, who brought something very interesting to my attention. Credit goes to Brother Abubakar, because last week when I read from this scripture, I said in verse 2, this month shall be your beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. So it means that the Most High was communicating to the children of Yasharal the beginning of months. So the dating started when Yahweh, in fact, it didn't start then, but he was giving them the correct dating according to the biblical calendar. But at the time when he gave this date, the beginning of the month, and that's when they celebrated the Passover, the children of Yasharal were in Egypt. And I said last week, we can't change this because even though in the promised land, the beginning of the year starts in spring. But in the promised land, it starts in September. And I said, this can be a problem because if you're going to invent your own wheel, you're going to have a problem here, because here it is given that it's the beginning of the year is in the spring of, and it starts in March, April. And this is where the Ashkenazi celebrate their Passover. But this is what Brother Abubakar brought to my attention. Jubilees 50 verses 1 to 3, and it solves our problem. And after this Torah, I made to you the days of the Shabbats in the desert of Sin, or Sinai, which is between Elim and Sinai. Verse 2, and I told you of the Shabbats of the land on Mount Sinai, and I told you of the Jubilee years in the Shabbats of years. So all the Shabbats that the children of Yasharal had were according to the calendar of the northern hemisphere. According to the calendar of the northern hemisphere and the calendar of Egypt. But listen to what this, pay attention now to this. Let me go through this. And I told you of the Jubilee years in the Shabbats of years, but the year thereof have I not told you till you enter the land which you are to possess. So it means the minute the children of Yasharal entered the promised land, the date changed. This is what it means. But the year thereof have I not told you till you enter the land which you are to possess. So it means it was revealed to the children of Yasharal when they entered the promised land that this is now your new calendar. And it aligns with our calendar here in spring. So if those who want to argue that the Middle East, I was one of them at some point, those who still want to argue the Middle East is the promised land, the calendar changed. The calendar changed, and it means March, April is the wrong dating. The right dating is September. And the land also shall guard its Shabbats while they dwell upon it, and they shall know the Jubilee years. So the Jubilee years are the years which are the 7 times 7 years of Shabbats. So the land will know. That's why when we violate the Shabbats in the land, we were exiled. That's how important these Shabbats are. You violate them, the land spits you out. Okay, now what it means is that the beginning of the month, the beginning of a day, the beginning of the year starts with a new moon. So we can start creating the calendar. There are people who have already worked it out, who have read the book of Enoch and the book and the Dead Sea Scrolls, and they have worked it out. There's a brother, if you are interested, his channel is, let me not mess it up now. His channel is Let My People Go. Let My People Go, and it discusses the biblical calendar from the dating of Enoch, and according to him, it aligns with the calendar which was found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So Our calendar, it must align with this one of September. If it doesn't, then there's another problem we are faced with. So we can confidently begin to start the year at the beginning, not at the beginning of September, because the beginning of September is all messed up by the Gregorian calendar. So we need to find when the new moon is in September. The beginning of that new moon will mark the first day of the year for us. And the first day of the year for us, unlike the first day of the year celebrated by pagans and Gentiles, which is 1st January, ours is marked by the blowing of trumpets, and then festivities follow. So when we know these things, we can begin to commemorate them correctly. So we need to align ourselves with the calendar of the Most High. Okay, if you have a different opinion, thank you, Brother Abubakar. If anyone has a different opinion, let's talk about it. This is the purpose of this channel. We discuss things and we guide each other. That's the beautiful thing. So let us look at the Feast of Weeks. Let's read Leviticus 23. Leviticus 23 has all these feasts. So if you want to recap, you can go to the first verse and go all the way to the last. We're going to read from 15 to 22. And you shall count for yourselves from the day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths. So this is the day after the first fruits, which is also known as Bikurim. After the first fruits, you count for yourself from the day after the Sabbath, from the day that you brought the sheaf of the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be completed. Count 50 days to the day after the 7th Sabbath, then you shall offer a new grain offering to Yahweh. So some of the things are things we can't do, but it is important to commemorate. Once we have aligned our calendar, we will know that on this day, this is what our people did. Those who have the trumpets, those who have the shofars, blow them. But make sure they are aligned correctly, because it is meaningless to have a celebration that is unaligned. Count 50 days to the day after the Sabbath, then you shall offer a new grain offering to Yahweh. You shall bring from your dwellings 2 wave loaves of 2/10 of an ephah. They shall be of fine flour. They shall be baked with leaven. They are the first fruits of Yahweh. So you will immediately realize that these things are a limitation. And you shall offer with the bread 7 lambs of the first year, without blemish, 1 young bull, and 2 rams. They shall be as a burnt offering to Yahweh, with their grain offering and their drink offerings, and offering made by fire for a sweet aroma to Yahweh. The bulls and the lambs, we no longer have, we don't have, we don't have these things, and we can't do these things properly, but remembering when these things were done and when and the purpose, this is important. Then you shall sacrifice 1 kid of the goats as a sin offering, and 2 male lambs of the first year as a sacrifice of a peace offering. The priest, and not any other priest, someone who was a priest in the Catholic Church becomes a priest. No, we're not talking about those priests. Those are not priests. The only priests that we have are from the Levites. We have teachers right now. We have people who are teaching, who are reminding people about the message of Yahweh. But people should not make themselves priests. Then we are confused, because the only priest we have is not going to change. The Levites were ordained forever. They will take that position. I know people are reading the New Testament, and the New Testament says the priesthood has changed. It is not prescribed anywhere in the Torah nor in the Tanakh that the priesthood is going to change. But look, if you want to believe that, and you want to believe that you have the Spirit of the Most High, and you are a priest, even if you don't come from the priesthood, hey, I'm not going to fight with you. But these functions, these ministries were ordained. No one else is supposed to do these responsibilities unless you know you are from the tribe of Levi. The priest shall wave, not any other priest, but the Levi shall wave them with the bread of the first fruits as a wave offering before Yahweh. With the 2 lambs, they shall be holy, sanctified. I should have written sanctified there to Yahweh, or separated to Yahweh for the priests. And you shall proclaim on the same day that it is a sanctified convocation to you. You shall do no customary work on it. It shall be a statute forever in all your dwellings throughout your generations. When you reap the harvest of your land, you shall not wholly reap the corners of your field when you reap, nor shall you gather any gleaning from your harvest. You shall leave them for the poor and for the stranger. I am Yahweh. Now, translate this to today's times. We don't have the land to plant our crops, to do this thing as it is required. But clearly, what we are commanded here is to remember those who are not as privileged as we are. If we have in excess, we always need to remember those who do not have and share with them generously. Let us look at the Feast of Trumpets. The Feast of Trumpets is found in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verses 23 to 25. Then Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, Speak to the children of Yasharal, saying, In the 7th month, on the first day of the month, you shall have a Sabbath rest, a memorial of blowing of trumpets, a sanctified convocation. You shall do no customary work on it, and you shall offer an offering made by fire to Yahweh. You must recognize how many holidays there are. Not the holidays that we are talking about today. Today you find even our own people perhaps driven by what they believe in. Among us, there are people who celebrate Christmas. There are people who celebrate Easter. I believe that they have understanding has not come to them. They don't even realize that these holidays are pagan holidays. You having a tree in your house which is decorated, read Jeremiah 10, verse 1 and 2. This was prophesied long before the New Testament was written. This is something that is not supposed to be done. Jeremiah 10, verses 1 to 2. You can read the whole book of Jeremiah if you wish, if you want to get understanding. And we dealt with the Passover last week, and we described what Easter means. We cannot find ourselves celebrating the same holidays that are celebrated by Gentiles. Gentiles will always mislead you, including the Ashkenazi. They are Gentiles. That's why they are using the wrong calendar. They are trying too hard to be like us. And they can't be like us. You can't fake something. You can fake it up to a point. When the owners have arrived, they will expose you because they know better this was meant for them. Now, I wanted to demonstrate the different use of the word trumpet. Not that it is, any significant. The Feast of Trumpets is important, and I will demonstrate what it will bring to us in future, or what it means. Now, Exodus 19 verse 13. If you read Exodus 19 from the first verse, you'll get the context of what this verse is talking about. So the children of Yasharal arrived at Mount Sinai, and Moses went up to see the Most High. And the Most High was giving him instructions of what will happen when he reveals himself to the children of Yasharal. Amongst other things, they were to consecrate themselves, and they were not to approach the mountain or touch it. And now verse 13 says, if anyone touches it, there will be consequences. So not a hand shall touch him. So a person who has touched it, maybe by mistake or for whatever reasons, after they have been told not to touch the mountain, 3 days after they were told to consecrate themselves, if anyone touches the mountain, after they were commanded to separate themselves from the mountain, that person was supposed to be put to death. So they were not supposed to touch that person, but he shall surely be stoned or shot with an arrow. Whether man or beast, he shall not live. So even if a beast went near the mountain, the beast was going to be killed. When the trumpet sounds long, so there are different sounds. When a trumpet sounds long, they shall come near the mountain. So they shall come near the mountain, but they will not touch the mountain. So when the trumpet sounds long, what does that signify? The word trumpet here is written as Jubilee. Now what does Jubilee, what does this tell us? It tells us that on that day, when the children of Yasharal had gathered at Mount Sinai, it was the Jubilee year. The Jubilee year signifies freedom, restoration, redemption. It means it marked the day or recognized that the children of Yasharal were free from the gods of Pharaoh and from the oppression of Pharaoh. Will the same thing happen in the end times? And the end times are coming very soon, sooner than we can ever imagine. And you can see that mavericks like President Donald Trump are going to bring this day, are going to fast forward it. He's going to fast forward it. We might see the end times in our lifetime. And many people are not ready. They are not ready. Whether spiritually or physically, they are not ready. It might be that on that year, when we are being prepared for the coming of the Most High to dwell in Mount Zion, we will have the similar experience. Trumpets will sound from heaven, and they will sound louder and louder. That might also signify the day or the feast of Jubilees. It means we would have reached 50 years. It might probably be the last 50 years in which we have been in bondage. So this trumpet, which I have highlighted, in this context, it means Jubilee, but it means the ram's horn or shofar. But if it sounds on the year of Jubilee, it is used concurrently or interchangeably with the shofar. So the shofar is the ram's horn. This word is also used in Exodus 19 verse 16. Then it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunderings and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain. This was when the Most High was descending from heaven. And the sound of the trumpet was very loud, so that all the people who were in the camp trembled. What kind of trumpet is this? It is the shofar. It is the shofar. So it still means that the trumpet that was blown on the Jubilee year, it was the shofar. So this is the actual instrument, whereas the Jubilee year signifies the day in which 50 years has lapsed, and it was a celebration. So the arrival of the children of Yasharal in Mount Sinai was on the Jubilee year. That's why that shofar was blown. In Numbers 10 verse 2, the children of Yasharal are commanded to make 2 silver trumpets. Now this is not a shofar. These are trumpets made of silver. Make them for yourselves. You shall make them of hammered work. You shall use them for calling the congregation and for directing the movement of the camps. So this is a different instrument. It is called Hatzotzerot. It is a trumpet. So it is called Hatzotzerot. This is a plural. The singular would have been it would have been, if it is there, the word ha is there. If it is just trumpet, it will be tzotzera. Tzotzera, if it is one. If it's 2 or many, tzotzerot. So this is a different kind of trumpet. It is made of silver. So those are the different kind of trumpets. So we can have an expectation. And once we align these dates, if we know our Shabbats, if we know our Jubilee years, if we know our calendar, we can align all these dates. There's a sister who once asked me that they are in the northern hemisphere, in the diaspora. When should they celebrate the Sabbath? You can't celebrate it any other day. That is why wherever you will be on the Sabbath, you will have to come. If you are not in the promised land, you will have to come to the promised land. Unless we've reached a time, let me not say anything else. You will have to come to the promised land because that is the correct dating. You can't have it on the day in which the Ashkenazi Jews are celebrating it. You saw the calendar. Jubilee is 50. It says, I have not told them of the calendar of the promised land. So once they enter the promised land, I will tell you. It is for this reason that the promised land cannot be anywhere in the northern hemisphere, because the date and the calendar of the northern hemisphere changed as soon as the children of Yasharal entered the promised land. Case closed. This is the end of this presentation. Next week, we will talk about the Feast of Tabernacles and Sukkot, or the feast of, what is left? The Day of Atonement, and we will make a comparison as to why actually those who plotted the New Testament, they got it wrong. I don't think they even cared about what they were doing, because if Yahusha was the sacrifice for the atonement of sins, he would have died on the Day of Atonement, not on Passover. Passover is about freedom, celebrating freedom. The Day of Atonement is about sins, forgiveness of sins. This is where I will end my presentation today. Please, as usual, make your contributions. Let's discuss things you don't agree with. Make your input. I'll appreciate it. Thank you very much. Ngiyabonga. Asante sana. All praises to the Most High. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.